Hey, my name is Amy and welcome to my channel, a place where I combine both my love for running and for music. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I'm currently going through and what to do during it, and that is off-season. It can be a weird time for runners after we finish our goal race or just training build, and now we suddenly have all this free time. I know myself, after I finished my marathon, I felt a little sad and just a little lost actually, because I just worked for months for this one goal and now it's done. Maybe it's just me, but I had the thought, what now? I just wanted to share with you a few things that I found really helpful and that I'm currently doing in this kind of transition time before I start my next training build. My hope is that you'll find the things that I share informative and useful for your own transition time, or you can just enjoy this video. But before I get into the good stuff, feel free to check me out on Instagram at amy.spurr-Caveney, where I post more running and music things. I think one of the most important things to do when you're recovering and entering in the off season is listen to your body. Everyone's body responds and recovers differently, so what works for one runner may not work for another runner. It also depends if you're recovering from a marathon or a 5K race. A marathon recovery is much different than a 5K race. However, to say that recovery is still important no matter what length of race you did. I recently watched an interview of one of my favorite runners, Sarah Hall. In this interview, she spoke about her London Marathon second place and how she's doing now. I found it really interesting, especially when she spoke about how she feels recovered, but she looks at her heart rate and notices that it's still high. That tells her body's not quite ready to jump back into intense training. Hearing that, I started tracking my own resting heart rate. I noticed that it's still a little high, so I'm going to continue to take it easy for a little bit longer, which is okay because I'm in off season right now and this is the time to take it a little easier. It was also interesting hearing that she tracks her sleep and puts a huge emphasis on recovery and also nutrition. This was a really good reminder for me, especially not to ignore the importance of recovery. As well, what I eat actually has an impact on my training and how my body responds to it. You can also use this off-season time to check in with your body and see if there's any niggles or any spots that you were kind of sore before the race and you're just holding over until the race finished. Now's the time to go get it checked out. You have no excuse. I myself had a little issue with my calf before the marathon, but I was just kind of babying it until I got through it. Now I'm gonna go see a physiotherapist and kind of figure out what's going on with my calf and just see if I can prevent it from happening again and just what's going on. There's so many physiotherapists and registered massage therapists that deal specifically with runners. So even if you're not really sore in a certain area, it might be a good idea just to get checked out so you're nice and ready for the next training block. I think it's completely normal when you finish your training build or you just did your goal race to need a break both physically and mentally. I love running, but even I was super excited to take a few days off after my marathon. It's just so nice to take your foot off the gas pedal and just ease back your training a little bit just to kind of, I don't know, reset and recharge. Don't worry though, I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I've just started running again, but doing nothing major, just easy running. It's hard though when you're used to going out and doing the really hard, really big workouts to doing just like a 5-kilometer run and you're like, I'm done already. So I just need to enjoy this time and just know that training will come and I will be sore again and I will be very tired again. You can use this time to create a little bit more balance in your life, especially when you're gone for several hours at a time during your long run especially. You can use that time now to connect with your loved ones or just maybe pick up a new hobby or pick up a hobby that you had been doing but just didn't have time to in peak training season. Especially if you're not a professional runner, you have to fit your runs in between working and life demands, and that can be hard sometimes. It's so nice not having to wake up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday to get my long run in before it got super hot outside. I cannot stress how important sleep is, especially for recovery. Because you don't have to get up super early or stay up late if you're an evening runner to get your runs in, you can use that time to sleep. For me, I started knitting again, which I really enjoy and find super relaxing. Something else you can do is go away for the weekend, especially if you don't have to fit in a super long run on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day you do your long run on. You can also do a staycation because it seems like we're not going to be able to travel ever again, and it makes me really sad to think about that. Cross fingers soon. It's just so freeing to think about all the possibilities now that you have a little more extra time. So after you've recovered properly, you can start running again. Again, it all depends on what race you're recovering from and how long you've been running for, if you have the base fitness already kind of built up, and which can affect how your body responds to getting back into training and speed workouts. So once you start doing easy runs, it's really important to make sure that you're fully recovered before incorporating any speed workouts into your schedule. Once you're recovered though, it is important not to do just easy runs in your off season. You want to do all these speed workouts, but you just reduce the intensity and length with which you do them. It makes it so much easier starting your next training cycle if you're not starting from scratch. It's good just to maintain a base fitness so you can just kind of get back into the next training build and you'll just feel so much better. One thing you can do in your off season when you've recovered is to start incorporating strength training into your schedule. I always have to reduce the weights that I use and the time I actually spend doing strength training when I'm getting to the peak kind of training for my marathon. And that's okay because at that time my focus should be on my running. But now in off season, I can kind of change my focus to build up the muscles that I've lost during the training cycle. I just find that I respond really well when I have stronger leg muscles and just a stronger body in general, that I'm able to run longer and faster too. My plan is to get back into doing 3 to 4 days of strength training and slowly increasing the weights that I use. I was recently listening to a podcast by Ryan Howell, who's Sarah Howell's husband and her coach, and also an American marathon record holder. I may be a little obsessed, but they're amazing athletes and just people in general. Anyway, he was talking about off-season and nutrition, and that actually was the inspiration for doing this video. One thing he mentioned to do off-season, and he said he also struggled with this, but to reduce your caffeine intake. I love coffee, and I'm not sure if I can do this, but I want to kind of be aware of when I have coffee so it doesn't affect my sleep. He says sleep is just huge for recovery, and caffeine obviously messes with your sleep cycle. He also suggested increasing your intake of healthy fats, as that will help restore your hormones that are affected by endurance training, as well as eating more proteins. I won't get into the hormonal side of it because that's just a little complicated, but eating more proteins, you're giving your body the building blocks to help recover itself. He also said that protein is the hardest thing for your body to turn into fat. This could be a good thing for off season, especially if we're not training as super intensely as we were before, so we're not burning as many calories as we were. In this transition time, I'm also starting to incorporate more fiber in my diet. I eat so many carbohydrates in the weeks leading up to my marathon and the week as well, and I want to now kind of focus on foods that are gonna keep me fuller for longer and just not so carb heavy. But again, carbs are not bad. It's just leading up to the marathon, that's just what your body needs for fueling. But now afterwards, I'm not doing as intense training, so these fiber-rich foods will keep me fuller for longer, and it's just good for my body to just have this balance. A few examples of fiber-rich foods are whole grain pasta and whole wheat bread, as well as berries, melons, oranges, and vegetables like broccoli and carrots. If you want to see exactly what I ate the week before my marathon, I'll have the link to the video in the description below. I'm not avoiding carbs, and I'm using this time just to kind of relax my diet a little bit and not be super worried about what I eat, and just enjoying the time to have a few more sweets and just maybe things that I wouldn't eat in my peak training season. This will obviously gradually change when I start increasing my training and as it gets more intense, that I need to fuel my body with things that will help me with my training and recovery. The off season doesn't have to be this awkward kind of in-between kind of transition time where you're just sitting around doing nothing, but you can use this time to kind of listen to your body and see what maybe areas you need to work on and get help with from a physiotherapist, RMT, and so on. Or you can work on mobility, strength, do some yoga, or just pick up another hobby that you've always wanted to do. Being aware of your nutrition, maybe not so strictly, but just kind of incorporating maybe a little more protein and healthy fats and fiber is a really good idea. And when you're getting back into running, it's important not to ignore those really important speed workouts, but just do them at a lower intensity. You can balance more strength training with your running because you're not gonna be so tired from doing all the hard, long runs, and you can do more maybe strength training on your off days or easy days and just build up those muscles that you might have lost. Or if you never had them, this is the time to build them up. I'm so excited to start the next training cycle and work towards my next goal, but I do need to remember that this transition kind of off season is really important to recharge both mentally and physically too. If you try to train at a super intense level all year long, your body's going to burn out and probably get injured. I can't emphasize the importance of recovery and just taking a step back and enjoying this time off before things get busy again. It's been kind of nice having a little extra time to work on projects that I had to set aside because I just couldn't fit it in my schedule with my intense marathon training. I started blogging again, which is something I haven't done in years, and it's just nice to have another creative outlet. Also getting back into knitting, which is so fun just to create something and just make fun things for myself and just for other people. Maybe knitting or blogging is not up your alley, but there's just so many things you could do, like reading a book, for example, or drawing or painting and journaling. There's just, again, unlimited options. Liam and I spontaneously decided to make a cake the other night, which was so fun just to spend the time together and just make a yummy treat too. Again, I can't wait to get back into strength training as I just feel like I've lost all my muscles, but that's okay because there's a time for everything. Maybe I'll do another strength training video, so if you don't want to miss out on that, click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload a video. If you like this video, tap that thumbs up button. Happy off season and recovery, and I'll see you next time.